Hi, my name is Akira Nuruddin, and this is the EDI Technologies and Standards Finals. So we're going to go into part one, where we created three UML diagrams, and I'm going to start with the interaction diagram first. So on your right, you have the interaction diagram. You can see the different requests and returns between the patient portal, caretaker, EHR, CPOE system, and then the core LabCorp system. So some challenges that arose throughout me creating this interaction diagram were the lack of knowledge of interaction diagrams. So I did gain a lot of knowledge whenever I was able to learn more about the interaction diagrams. The signals and requests, I noticed that not all signals needed request forms or forms return signals in order to work or to complete the whole transaction. So I was able to learn that the interaction boxes needed to be from whenever the interaction started to whenever it was over. So as you see kind of on this side, you can see this whole interaction box was not complete the first time I did it. But one challenge was I did fix it by making it one whole interaction box. And then the arrow alignment, for whatever reason, it was completely difficult to get the arrows to just go straight forward. So some of them are still like this one is still cricket, but it was kind of like no fixing it. So then we had the activity diagram. Basically, this diagram shows the interactions between the patient or the locations between the patients where everything happened, any decisions that were made. It's basically like a flow chart of different activities or events that happened throughout the scenario, and I was able to put them into this activity diagram. So some challenges that came about, I asked for feedback for a few of these diagrams, and the feedback was to make the swim lines, which are these boxes, vertical, just for to prevent any confusion, because on my original graph I had they were horizontal and some of the activities would be in between the lines and it was hard to read. And then I did need to understand activity graphs a little more, so I had to do some research. I got to a full understanding of everything. And then I also just needed to make sure that the activities were in between the lines, because the swim lines represent the location of where everything is or where the event is taking place. So if the activity is in between two swim lines, then it will be a little bit confusing, especially if it's only supposed to be in one. Okay, and then we had our use case diagram. Basically, this is the interaction between the actors and the information system. So on the left side, you see the actors, and then on the right side, you see the information system. So, Joy makes an appointment, it goes to the patient portal, and then it's confirmed. The patient portal confirms the appointment. So some challenges that arose during the interaction, the use case diagram or the creation of the use case diagram, were having the request fulfilled. So on my original use case, I didn't have any like confirm appointment, approved medication, or approved labs. I only had requests, so that was wrong. Then I had to understand use case diagrams, basically how they work, and then understanding the relationship between the actors and the information system. So which actors actually interacted with different systems. For example, Joy did not interact with the CPOE system or the EHR. So she basically only interacted with the patient portal to make sure she could basically schedule her appointments. And then for the HL7 version 2, I chose version 2. I did it because it's most known, and this version is more compatible to most information systems because it's been along for a long time. And basically, I chose the signal of the doctor sending a lab request. So as you see, you can kind of see in some the blood type, and then the result was positive. You can get Joy's information. You see the primary care. I just named him John. And then, a phlebotomist is the person who takes the actual, and they take the actual blood. So I just call him Jack. He doesn't have any credentials, and the first message line is basically all the information about her phone number, her age, her name, gender, address, location, everything. And then the last is supposed to be basically what was collected in the results for the collection. So this was the signal I chose to present or use from the interaction diagram. So for part 2, I chose ICD codes and Lonic. For ICD, these were some of the benefits that I thought were beneficial to the healthcare system now, was the increase in data quality, increase of code identifiers and procedures for diseases, because originally ICD started as like a list of, basically just a list of how people have been dying. And it kind of expanded into this whole list of procedures, ways to communicate, different diseases that you can use, and how these procedures and diseases are related to one another. And it's also helped with the improvement of epidemiological research, which was very important during COVID-19. So if you know, like the codes for COVID, it's kind of been helping with basically the research and how to track that data amongst different hospitals. And then also you have the increase of level and detail of electronic information being transferred for diagnosis. So instead of being like, oh, well, this code represents COVID, they can kind of go into detail, like this represents COVID with that turn into pneumonitis or pneumonia, which is kind of important when dealing with patients who have developed pneumonia now from COVID, to prescribe them the right steroids and get them the right treatment. And then Lonic, I chose Lonic because basically it is used with data for the lab. So it established a better outcome for quality data, promotes interoperability and communication, enables compatibility for data, lab data, decreases cost for repeated tests, which is one of the most known the most known thing to decrease, or what a lot of the most known goal, that the healthcare system has currently, is basically to decrease costs, because we don't want to keep repeating the test, and then it helps with population management. But thank you so much. Here are my references, and have a nice day.